Welcome back, dear viewer. The hills of West Virginia are home to all manner of ghosts and spirits. In the past, we've talked about all types of ghosts, haunts, and even ghost animals. But tonight we're going to talk about an entire ghost train. Our story begins with the story of a train derailment in the early 1900s. The derailment happened near the town of Rollisburg, West Virginia. The train went over a deep embankment, killing 7 passengers and injuring many more. 7 years later, two brothers were walking home after a late night out when they came to the spot where the derailment had taken place all those years before. The brothers were startled when they heard a train whistle. Knowing no trains were due, they backed away from the tracks, ready to watch the train pass by. As the train approached them, the train skidded off the rail in the same spot where the train had all those years before. The brothers saw the train go flying over the hill, crashing into the valley below. The train cars caught fire, and in a great flash of light, the boiler exploded. When the light from the explosion faded, the wreckage was gone, and there was no signs that anything had happened. The ghost train wreck was gone. This story first appeared in Ruth Ann Music's Telltale Lilac Bush. Reoccurring haunts are a very common ghost story motif. Ghosts that are stuck in an endless loop, reliving the final moments or even entire days before their ultimate demise. These haunts are usually linked to anniversaries of the ghost's death, or in some occasions linked to a time of month, like the full moon. In the early days of West Virginia statehood, the three major industries were the railroads, the mines, and the lumber industry. While the coal industry was responsible for some of the most notorious disasters in the Mountain State history, the lumber and railroad industries had their own fair share of disasters. On October 23rd, 1890, a C&O train crashed into a boulder near Hinton, West Virginia, resulting in the death of the engineer. In May 24th, 1927, a Virginian passenger train and a freight train collided near Ingleside, resulting in the death of 2 persons. And in September 26th, 1936, a train wreck occurred in Hampville in McDowell County, West Virginia. While I was unable to find records of this particular train wreck that's mentioned in the story, there was one that was linked to Rollinsburg. During the Civil War, the West Virginia 6th Infantry Division spent the majority of the war protecting and maintaining B&O rail lines across the Mountain State. Company F was predominantly made of individuals from the Rollinsburg area and were tasked with defending the B&O station in Preston County. They played a pivotal role in protecting the railroad during the Jones-Bowdoin raids, which were a series of Confederate raids specifically designed to destroy infrastructure and terrorize the Unionist government of reorganized Virginia. In 1864, as combat wrapped up in the Mountain State, soldiers who wished to not re-enlist in the Army were given their final pay and were allowed to return home. But after a week of no paymaster showing up to give the soldiers their final pay and discharge, about 21 men from Company F boarded a train heading to Wheeling to receive their final pay directly from the state of West Virginia. Around 2 a.m., the train crashed into a westbound train. Despite seeing few casualties during the conflict, 4 men were killed in the wreck and some 16 others were seriously injured. This made it the single deadliest day for Company F, despite taking place after the conflict had settled down in the area and several of these men being relieved from their combat duty. Stories of ghostly forms of transportation probably have their origins in Irish folklore and tales of the Dullahan. These are headless, demonic, fairy-like beings that ride around on horses, often carrying their head under their arms, and sometimes wield whips made from human bones. In other occasions, they drive around in carriages. Many of you probably thought of the tale of the Headless Horseman when I was giving that description, and it too most likely finds its origins in Irish folklore. While doing research for this video, I was watching a documentary on ghosts of London, and I heard the tale of a ghost pilot from World War II. During the Blitz, particularly tumultuous point in London history, when the Germans were constantly doing bombing raids on the city, tales started emerging of a ghostly pilot who would circle the city, and you couldn't hear the engines of his plane. Legend has it that he is circling the city trying to find somewhere to land, because oftentimes during the Blitz, the city would turn off its lights at night to make it even harder for the bombers to find their targets. It's weird how these stories of forms of transportation, normally inanimate objects, causing haunts, just keep reoccurring in various places and various times throughout history. I hope you learned something in this video, and I hope to talk to you again very, very soon.